Let's talk about what it takes for you to essentially eliminate or almost eliminate no-shows in your business. And when I talk about no-shows, I mean for sales calls, when you're getting people on the phone with you and you've put all of your marketing efforts to get these people there and they ghost you or they don't show up for the call. And it's funny because it's an issue that I see that a lot of people have, right? Like they're putting all of this effort, marketing, having video sales letters or webinar funnels or creating content on social media, all focus on getting people to book that call. And these people come in, they fill out a form, sometimes with more detail, sometimes with less detail. They book that spot and you're super excited to have that call booked. And then the person does not show, does not respond to your message or any messages, whether you're sending them text messages or calling them or emailing them. It's like they have disappeared off the face of the planet. Now, again, this is an issue that I see a lot of people experience. I'm going to be really, really honest with you. It's not an issue in my business and how we do things at all. I don't think, I was looking at stats because I just recorded a training on this for my clients, but I was looking at our stats, and in the last 4 months, we've had maybe a couple or 3 people no show. It is very atypical. It's not normal in our own business. And the reason why this happens is that there's an entire process that we've built out that really allows that to happen, that we don't have no shows. I don't expect them to happen either. That's a big part of it. We'll get into it in a second. And I can give you some of the practical things, but I really want to go a little bit deeper in this training for you and walk you through why this is happening and how to fix it and kind of some of the things that you need to be looking out for to make sure that you're not getting people not showing, because these calls are costing you money. They're costing you time, they're costing you money, they're costing you freedom, they're costing you a lot in a lot of different ways. And we don't want you to have a spot booked in your calendar where nobody shows up. So the first thing that I want to say is that in my experience, the main reason why this is happening is that a lot of people are focused on filling their calendar up with as many calls as they possibly can. And your whole marketing strategy is built around getting people on the phone. And you might think, well, wait a minute, Fabi, isn't the point for me to have a full calendar of calls so that I can enroll more people and scale my business and make $1 gazillion by the end of the week? Yes and no. Yes, your intention is to get calls booked, but the intention is for you to get the right people booked. And so when your whole marketing and messaging is around like getting people on the phone and having the central call to action be, let me get you on the phone, what ends up happening is that you attract a lot of people, or you get a lot of people on the phone that are not necessarily as serious about fixing the issue. And so what you need to be doing instead is, yes, we're going to keep the call to action, although we'll talk about the call to action in a second. But the main thing is around selling your big idea, selling what I call the angle of mastery, that unique perspective, that unique solution, that unique way of saying things and doing things that only you can bring to the table. And so everything in your marketing has to be geared around selling this idea. And then that call is simply the bridge that gets people to get the outcome that they desire, right? It's not so much about, let me get you on the phone and I'm going to kind of give you this, whatever, we're going to do the roadmap to help you get to where you want to be. But it's more about, this is why you're experiencing this problem. This is my unique way of solving the problem. This is me giving you breakthroughs and light bulb moments and insights that you've never heard before, and giving you a different perspective around the problem and the solution. And therefore, the next step is logically for you to book that call with me. So your marketing is very different when you do it focus on selling that angle of mastery versus focus on getting people on the phone. And I know that it sounds like it's the same thing, but it is radically different. And I see this all the time. I feel like I tend to call this lazy marketing. I'm sure you've seen, and hopefully you haven't done, but maybe if you have, this is going to be helpful anyways. You've seen those video sales letters, like those quick 10-minute videos that it's like all hype and all like just really talking people up about the amazing result that you're going to help them with, and you're going to give them these guarantees and all of these things. And it's really fluff at the end of the day. I mean, sure, it's good, but it's lazy marketing because all it does is get your calendar absolutely completely booked with sales calls. But these people are not buying. They're not your people, right? And more than that, they're not even showing, right? I had a call with somebody, for example, a few weeks ago that said, Fabi, I've had 400 calls booked into my calendar and 400 no-shows. Like literally, basically everybody has no-showed on me. And she was really frustrated. And again, it's because when you optimize your whole marketing around getting people on the phone, your focus is actually on the wrong place. Again, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but your focus is on the wrong place because you're turning that call into like you're prostituting the call, right? Like you're making the call like this cheap thing that is like, well, let me get you on the phone, and not making it something that should be a privilege for these people. And that's a big part of the problem, right? The whole thing needs to be focused. And when I say the whole thing, your marketing, your message, your content needs to be focused on selling the angle of mastery, your big idea, your premise, your unique way of doing things. That needs to be the core. And that call is almost, or that call to action is almost like an afterthought that is very logically the next step for people to move from there. So kind of backing this up, and I'm not going to go too much into this topic, but a big piece of this working is you making sure that you have the right people into that funnel in the first place. So whether you're doing an automated funnel or you're getting people to book a call with you through your social media content organically, or even paid or podcasts, whatever you're doing, the people that you're getting on that funnel or that piece of content have to be the right people. If you're speaking to the wrong people, it's much more likely that you're going to get people on the phone that are not really ready to invest, or they're not even going to get on the phone with you. They're going to book and run, right? Like it's like, ooh, this is fun. Let me book it. And then ciao. Like I'm never paying attention to it. And it's not something that I'm taking seriously. Like they're not respecting your time, right? And speaking of that, that is part of the issue. The reason why these people are not respecting your time is because you're not respecting your own time in the first place, because it's all about, let me get calls booked. Let me fill up my calendar up with as many people as I can so that I can scale my business. And you're not really standing in your true power. Like if you are a true expert at what you do and you know that you're good at it and you have certainty and you have conviction, you're not going to get on the phone with a million people. You're going to get on the phone only with the right people, which means that your marketing message needs to be focused on bringing in the right people. I mean, think about it like this. Like, do you think that Tony Robbins, and I know he does not do sales calls, but I'm just using him as an example. He would be like, let me get on as many calls as I can. No, it's like, I will get on the calls if they are the right fit. So that means that your message, your marketing content needs to be focused on getting the right fit on the phone. I have an entire episode about how to speak to people that are buyers, the right fit. I will make sure to add it on the comments below so that you can go watch it if you haven't already, because it is really, really good. But anyways, okay, so we are bringing the right people in. We're focused on that. I also, by the way, I always say this, have a training that explains this in readytoinvestclients.com. You can find more information around how to speak to the ready to invest people and how to track them and all of that. So we're talking to buyers, right? We're bringing the right people in. But then the whole marketing strategy needs to be around selling that angle of mastery, selling that big idea. And then when we get to the actual call to action, there needs to be something more powerful that you're offering than just a strategy session that is like, there's nothing valuable for me there. This is a big, big, big part of the issue, that it's like, you know, audiences are much more sophisticated every single day. They've been on sales calls. They've been on webinars. They've watched video sales videos. They know that what you're doing is you're going to try to sell it to them. And people don't want to be sold to unless they're already sold, if that makes sense. Like if they're pre-sold and they're like, I'm ready to go, then I'm good. But I don't want to be pushed into something. And so by you kind of phrasing this as like a strategy session where you're going to build a step-by-step roadmap or blueprint to figure out how to get to where they want to get to, it's, I know exactly what you're going to do, and I have zero real motivation or reason to get on that call with you. So you have to find a better way at presenting your call to action so that the call becomes a privilege for you. So in our business, we made this change in 2021 and we completely changed the model. So instead of having a setter on the front end or an assistant on the front end or whatever it is, we changed the model and we put the expert at the front end. This is a call that I do right now in my business. We've had people, experts that have done it for me as well over the years. Currently, I'm the one that does the 15-minute call. And so what I do is instead of sending you to a setter or instead of sending you to an enrollment coach or a closer to have you come in, I hop on the call with you and I am the expert evaluating your business and actually giving you value upfront so that you can see the power of the work that we do for yourself. If it's a good fit, we move you to a sales call. And if it's not, we don't. But what happens is that when I'm putting myself first and in the process, like the expert first, and not just a setter that's like rapport building and asking you about your problems and then, oh, I have a solution for that, and just kind of just booking you on a call and pushing the sales call in any way possible because that's how they make money, right? Like if they're bringing in people. In my case, it's irrelevant whether you like move to the sales call or not. I mean, it's in the sense of like, I'm gonna get paid the same whether you move to a sales call or not, if you're not gonna buy anyways afterwards, if that makes sense. So for me, I will not, my goal is not to get you on a sales call. My goal is to give you value and to see if you're a good fit, to see if you're the right person for us, but to really build demand for my services in that process. I'll do a whole training around the 15-minute call and how we do that. That's not my point on this training today. But my whole point is that because I'm putting the expert first, the anticipation, the expectation for that call, it's completely different. I will make it an absolute privilege for people to do this call with me. This is not a call that you're going to do if you have zero intention of, like if you feel like you're not gonna get value from it, or you're not serious about what you do, or you're not serious about your time, you're not gonna book the call with me at all, right? And so my whole marketing message and your whole marketing message, video sales letter, a webinar, like whatever that looks like, it needs to be focused on making sure that you're presenting that call as a high value conversation. It's not a strategy session. It's not a roadmap to, it's not a blueprint. It is actual high value. And so when you really do a good job of making the whole point of your messaging to be around selling the big idea, and then having that call be like, what connects the pieces for them and what really shows them the blind spots, not from a fake place of like, let me move you to a sales call, but actually delivering value, well, then your no-show rate is going to drop down like substantially, because now I have a reason to show up for this call with you. And it's funny because I was already planning on doing this training and I got an email from one of my mentors talking about like part of what he does or what he focuses on in terms of bringing down the no-show rate. And he was talking about how you need to build expectation, anticipation, and excitement. And it's interesting because in a way, that's exactly what we do, right? We build expectation around what is going to happen on this call, right? We build anticipation. We're really making sure that they're integrating these concepts that I've talked about through my free content, whether it's the webinar, whether it's my videos, whether it's my trainings, whatever that is. So you're really building and like, you're building this call up. It's not just a strategy session. It's not just a call. Now it's something that they're really going to get a lot of value from. Now, what we really focus on as well is building a nurture process leading up to that call that is very, very powerful. And that once again makes it feel like this call is a privilege, not just a conversation like they've had a million conversations in the past. Like I'm really making the point of, this is a call that you need to be present for because it is actually really a valuable call and not just another strategy session like the ones that you've done in the past or whatever. This isn't the sales call. So we really focus on building that up through our entire nurture process. Now, practical aspects. Obviously, if you have your schedule or your calendar open too far in advance, that is going to be something that's going to increase the chances of you getting no-shows. But if there's no way around it, like you're only one person, like in my case, it's only me doing the 15-minute calls. So if there's no way around it and you're like, I just don't have a way of like having more slots open per day, right? Like in my case, I only work from 11 to 3. I have client calls as well. So I have to fit in my 15-minute calls within my days. Therefore, I have a very limited amount of slots available. In a case like that, when you have to open up your calendar a few more days than like the typical like 48 hours, there has to be a nurture process in the middle. In our case, that nurture process happens through email and it happens through text messages as well. So like phone, SMS messages, right? And so there's a whole ecosystem, a whole system that is happening on the back end that is really focused on building up that anticipation, building up that expectation, building up that excitement so that when the time comes that the call is going to happen, I know that people are going to show up. Obviously, we have your typical Calendly, reminder emails and whatever. That's not what I call nurture. That's just the reminder emails. I don't think that, obviously you definitely need them and that they are effective. But for me, it's about the little nurture that happens in the middle between the moment that somebody books the call with you and the call actually happens, and how you really structure that to make sure that people show up, right? You're delivering next level value. And for me, I think that one of my biggest conclusions in terms of attracting high quality leads and eliminating no-shows, or really like bringing them down almost to nothing, it's really about, well, how do I speak to high quality leads? How do I speak to these high quality clients? And respecting them through that process and making sure that you've built a system that is like intentionally or strategically created to speak to the people that you want to speak to. And what I mean with that is that nurture process needs to be high level, that the emails that they're getting, the text messages that they're getting, your whole process needs to be optimized to speak to the high level people. Because if they're not high level people, they should cancel the call if they're not ready for you yet, right? And for me, that doesn't mean that every single person that I talk to is going to move on to a sales call, right? Obviously, it doesn't happen. Not necessarily everybody is 100% ready to buy today. Like, give me my credit card. That's basically impossible. But what people are is respectful of my time and their time. So to give you an example, I had a call booked for today, and the person canceled the call and said, Fabi, I am just too burnt out in my business and I don't want to take your time right now. And I want to leave the spot open for somebody who is really not that burnt out like I am. So that's what it looks like when somebody is respectful of your time. And actually, because that call canceled, I had somebody else book into that spot. I already had the call today and they moved to a sales call. Amazing, amazing fit, right? So it's really about coming back to what I was saying before. If you want people to respect your time, you have to be the first one respecting it yourself. And that means not prostituting your calendar and doing whatever you can to get people on the phone just because that's what's going to make you get more people to buy, but really you respecting your own expertise, respecting, like, it's a privilege for these people to talk to you. It is a true privilege for them to have a conversation with an expert like you. And so for you to feel like that call needs to be a high value call. It can't just be a script that you're following, a little process to get people to buy. It has to feel high value. In our case, and I'll do a whole training on this afterwards, but in our case, the 15-minute call is basically a very high level coaching call. Like, I am giving you the answers. I'm telling you the exact blind spots that you can't see. I've had people that are like, I had never realized that I was doing this. I did not notice that I was using this language. I was talking to the wrong audience. Like, I can't even believe it. I really always thought that I was speaking to the right audience. But when you have somebody to come in like me from the outside and tell you, no, this over here, what you're doing here, I will sometimes watch webinars or like skim through them or go through websites or look at people's content. And I will see the things that it's like, you see this, you see what you did here? This is speaking to people that are not ready to buy right now or are ever going to be ready to buy. And people are like, they're blown away by the value of it, right? And I know that this is an extremely valuable call. And therefore, my entire energy when I invite you to book the call, or my entire energy when I talk about the call, or when I bring that call to action in emails is, I know that this is valuable. My goal is not to get you on the phone. My goal is to get you as much value as possible. If you're respectful of my time and you're respectful of your own time, right? If your intention is to never in a million years buy from me at all, and you're like, I am not like even remotely interested in working with Fabi, but I want to hear what she has to say, don't ever book the call with me, if that makes sense. Like, my goal again is not to just get you on the phone with me. My goal is for me to establish a relationship with you. It's for us to really be able to connect and see if we connect and see if we're a good fit for each other. That's why we separate the 15-minute assessment from the actual sales call. And to me, that is what respecting my time looks like. The other piece of this that I think is really important is your expectation. For me, I don't expect to have no shows. Like, I just don't, because it doesn't happen. And so it doesn't happen, if that makes sense, right? Like, because I don't expect people to no show on me, I expect everybody to book the call that books the call with me to be respectful of my time, and therefore they are. So I don't have the belief that I have no shows, and therefore I don't have no shows. Like, people will basically either cancel before, although I don't tend to have a lot of cancellations, but sometimes my own nurture process between the time that somebody books the call and the call happens does enough for them to kind of self-filter themselves out and be like, maybe this is not the call for me. Maybe I need to be a little bit more advanced in my business to be able to talk to Fabi or whatever that may be. So people will cancel it. Again, does not happen as often, but it can, like it happened this week, or they will simply show. And if they don't show, they will message me and apologize and send me a bunch of emails or whatever, like really profusely apologizing for it, because of how valuable I paint the call to be, because it is a high value call. And again, there's a lot of technical things that I'm doing and very specific practical things that happen in the emails, that happens in the way that I do the call to action in a webinar, or even in this video right now, or this training right now. How I'm talking about it is basically guaranteeing that I won't get people not showing for the call, because we're building expectation, we're building anticipation, you're building excitement, like, ooh, what's going to happen on this call? I wonder what I'm not seeing. I wonder if there's something there that I haven't realized before. And these are all things that are going to really allow you to have a ton of clarity around, like allow you to really just be serious about showing up for the call, right? So it really comes down to you, again, not just filling your calendar up, but really bringing in the right people, which means adding more filters too, by the way. I know that, again, most marketers are telling you to not add filters and to leave it a little bit broader so you get more calls booked. Your goal is not more calls. Your goal is clients. More calls does not always equal more clients, right? So add the freaking filters. Make sure that you're adding the things that will allow you to bring in the right people, the people that will respect your time, the people that will respect you and your craft and your skills and your expertise and your authority. That's what you want to focus on instead. So all that to say, if you want to do the 15-minute call with me so that you can see exactly what I mean, and I can evaluate your message and evaluate your blind spots that you don't even realize that you have right now, I would love for me and you to have this call at brandmessagesession.com. You'll find the link below. And this is by the way, there's a double reason for this, what I'm going to say right here. I'm pitching the call, but I'm also showing you how it's done. Excessively high value call. This is not a sales call. This is not a fluff call. There is no script. The script maybe is like 30 seconds of the call. When I tell you that I'm recording, I'll send you the recording afterward, like all those details, and that's it. But this is a call where I will share screen. I will look at your website. I will look at your webinar. I will look at your Google Doc or your content, and I will like literally tell you the answer, tell you why your content is falling flat, why the marketing strategies that you've been implementing that had been working well are not working anymore, why you're not attracting buyers, like the things that you can't notice because you're too close to them. That's the issue. If it were something simple for you to fix, you would have already fixed it, right? The reason why you're hopping on sales calls and getting the majority of people, like the great majority of people not buying, those things are happening because of something in your messaging for the most part. There are cases when it's not, but I would say that about 90% of the people that I talk to, I can within seconds look at their websites and look at their messaging and say, You see this here, this is talking to the wrong audience. You see that there, this is the thing that's not differentiating. This sounds like everybody else, or you're doing this or you're doing that. And this is why you're getting your calendar filled with people that are not showing on sales calls or strategy sessions or whatever you're calling them, right? So I will give you the actual answer. If at the end of the call, you're like, damn, Fabi, let me go implement this on my own. Thank you. Perfect. If at the end of the call, you're like, damn, Fabi, how do you help me fix this? We can do a separate call. I'll send you my pricing before. I will send you all the information before. So it's very transparent way of doing things, right? And we can do that then. So brandmessagesession.com to book it. Make sure that you're following me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribing, liking, giving me reviews as well. I just hit 2,000 downloads on my podcast, which is small to a lot of people. It's pretty big and awesome for me. I am very, very excited about it. And so please make sure that you do give me a review if you've been enjoying my videos and my trainings, as well as subscribing on YouTube so that you get notified on all of the new ones. And leave me a comment below, questions that you have around eliminating no-shows, a request that you have for other episodes that I can record for you and anything like that. And I will see you in another episode. Bye.